How is it possible that a board-certified anesthesiologist failed to recognize that a patient had aspirated, thrown up her stomach contents, and gone into her lungs during the course of a routine colonoscopy? You want to know the answer? Come join me for a moment as I share with you some remarkable information. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney practicing law here in the state of New York. She went in for a routine colonoscopy. This anesthesiologist sedated her with IV sedation. And during the course of the procedure, the gastroenterologist, the doctor doing the procedure, had some difficulty manipulating the colonoscope, the fiber optic tube with a camera at the tip of it, throughout her intestines. There was some sort of blockage. And as he was doing that, that triggered some type of vomiting response in the patient. Now, she had done everything she was supposed to. She hadn't eaten or drank anything since the night before, yet there was still some remnant contents in her stomach, and now she vomited. Now, what happens then? When you vomit material from your stomach, it now comes up into your mouth. Well, the patient's totally sedated. So what happens next? Now she breathes in. Well, guess what? What she breathed in was, instead of air, it was the stomach contents. It was acid. It was fluid from what was remaining in her stomach that had been thrown up now into her mouth. And now, as she inhaled it, that went right down into her lungs. And guess what? The first sign that the anesthesiologist had that there was a problem was that the oxygen saturation meter, known as a pulse ox meter, triggered, which indicated to him that she wasn't getting sufficient oxygen perfusing throughout her body. So now there could be a couple of reasons for that. One, maybe the monitor is faulty. Two, maybe there could be a serious problem as to why the patient is not getting sufficient oxygen. Maybe they're having a cardiac arrest. It could be many different reasons. But now you immediately have to investigate. So now the anesthesiologist does in fact begin to investigate. And he looks and he sees in her mouth that there's some type of material in there that wasn't there before. So he goes ahead and he suctions out just her mouth. But now her condition worsens. Her oxygen saturation level is still going down, and he can't figure out why. The gastroenterologist doing the procedure says, "Is everything okay? Can I continue?" And you know what the anesthesiologist says? "Everything's fine, go ahead. How much longer will you be?" And he says, "I don't know, 5-10 minutes?" He's like, "Go ahead." That was the kiss of death for this patient, literally. After the procedure's over, the anesthesiologist puts her into the recovery room and leaves her alone there for 40 minutes. She's having difficulty breathing. She cannot breathe well. Her oxygen saturation level is diminishing. It's getting lower and lower by the minute. And he doesn't call an ambulance until 45 minutes after the procedure ended. Now they rush her to the hospital. You know, this is very reminiscent of the Joan Rivers scenario, where now they rush her to the hospital, and guess what? She was almost gone by then. She was in a coma. Why? Because her airway, her lungs, were not getting oxygen. It was all clogged up from all the stomach contents that she had inhaled. Now, what should the anesthesiologist have done? He should have immediately ended the procedure. He should have suction beyond the mouth, now down into her lungs and her airway. That's what he should have done. That would have attempted to minimize the damage that was going on, because acid and acidic contents should never be in the lungs or the airway. And as a result of this patient died 2.5 days after undergoing this colonoscopy. So why do I share this information with you? I share it with you just to give you an insight and an understanding into one case where a board-certified anesthesiologist failed to timely recognize the fact that this patient had aspirated during what was otherwise a routine colonoscopy. You know, I recognize and I understand you're watching this video because you likely have questions or concerns about your own particular matter. Well, if your matter did happen here in New York and you're thinking about bringing a lawsuit, but you have questions that need answers, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. I can answer your legal questions. You know, this is something I do every single day, and I'd love to chat with you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a wonderful day.